Okay, we're ready to go.
Awesome. Good evening, everybody. I will start us out with our opening, motto of the social ethic by Rudolf Steiner. In the healing of social life, the healing of social life is found when in the mirror of each human soul, the whole community finds its reflection, and when in the community, the virtue of each one is living. And would anybody like to do our song tonight? Trying to find my camera here, team. So
We have a song.
Well, didn't Peter sing for us last time?
That's right.
Yeah, I sung Happy Trails
Uh-huh.
at the end.
I have a song,
Oh.
and this will be my last WCC meeting as the faculty chair. So I have a song that we've been singing as a staff. It is a song that Suzanne Drennan wrote with Amy Lou Hettinger before she passed away. And so we were bringing it back. And then, but do I have to sing it by myself? All right.
It'll
I'll
sound
I'll
better.
sing it for you.
It'll
You'll sound
sound better by yourself.
I'll just
I'll hold
imagine.
up
I
the
know the
words.
words. I
I
got
know.
it, Julie.
But for everybody, but for
Oh,
everyone.
okay. All right. So it goes, we'll stick together like birds of a feather, we'll fly so high. You and I will wipe the tears from your cheek. We'll bake a cake and we'll feast. Make a toast to life is beautiful. Happy New Year. This one's gonna be just great. It's true, dear. Peace and joy on every plate.
Thank you. It's awesome. All right. Flipping between screens here. Excitement sharing. I'm excited to be back in school. Kids are really excited to do it. That's their special place. Picked Viva up from school today, and it's always a joy. And this weekend, we're going to go out to a cabin at Matanuska Glacier. So a little adventure and a little rhythm. That's my excitement.
I went on a little weekend road trip over Martin Luther King weekend to drive a car out to near to where my daughter's going to college and with my husband. And we haven't been on a road trip alone in many, many moons. And it was really fun. Listened to the music we wanted to listen to, got to talk for hours on end. It was great. And on the birthday of Martin Luther King, we were driving through all the key places. Birmingham, Atlanta, and Memphis. It was really neat. We read the I've Got a Dream speech and all of his works. We kind of just took a little bit of time and thought about Martin Luther King on our road trip. So that was fun.
Well, my excitement includes a little bit of vulnerability, but it's a big deal in my life. And so, as of last Friday, I did the final payment on a debt restructuring that happened like 5.5 years ago. Because paying for Anchorage Waldorf, short sale on a house, and a number of other financial calamities in a short period of time was all compensated for by consumer debt. And so I just now did the final payment. I'm getting like $750 back in the monthly budget after scrimping and working for 5.5 years on that chunk. And the weight coming off of the shoulders, sending that final one in was a huge deal. So anyway, that's mine.
I can go next. My excitement is I just got back on Sunday from a trip to Belize with Drew. It was just the two of us. And we went snorkeling and I went diving. We went up on this river trip up into the jungle. And it was just a really nice 10 days away in the tropical heat and in the ocean. And just very grateful that we had the chance to do that. So and I'm also glad that she's back in school. And she did do a little bit of homework on the trip too. So yeah, that's my excitement for today. I apologize for having to go off screen. I'm trying to get dinner going, so I need to move around a little bit.
Awesome. Well, if anybody'd like to go, feel free to jump in, but no pressure to. I am solo screen tonight. Oh, sorry, Nick. All right. Approval of minutes. And we're going to make an adjustment to this and bump it off one more month. Is that true?
We had the December ones to approve, but I couldn't find any copies of anything November.
November. It may have been late by the time I got back to Molly on her day there. So would anybody be willing to make a motion to push out that approval of the November minutes until February?
Are we doing it with both sets, or are we also are we going to approve the December ones that were sent?
I guess I was thinking let's push out. Let's talk about November and then go into December.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay. November. Would anybody be willing to?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to move the approval of November minutes until the February meeting, until such time as we actually have minutes to approve for that.
Terrific. Thank you.
This is Nick, and I'll second that.
Thank you, Nick. Julie, do you have the minutes for the December meeting?
I don't have them up, but does Peter, do you have them? Somebody was looking for them.
Yeah.
I can.
Yes, I have some up. The one thing that I noted was that much of it is in green, but other than that, I think they are ready to go. And I did read through them before the meeting, and it seemed representative to my eye what was gone through in the December meeting. So I would be fully prepared to make a motion for approval of those December minutes, if that's fine with folks. But if folks want the additional time to pull them up, if they can find them and run through them, I'm also happy with that.
Can you share your screen?
Yes. Okay, so let me. I should have done that before sharing. Oh, come on, let me drag it. visible?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is where it notes that move to strike the approval of minutes from the agenda and that we would approve both in January. WPG report reflected
Mhm.
money that came in. Budget report, nothing to report tonight. January meeting will include quarterly. It went over the elections. Okay. That is the extent of it. If there's anything noted that any changes that need to happen, we can make them now, or at least I can make a note in the document for the moment. If not, somebody can move to approve.
It looks good to me, Peter. I'm pretty sure as board chair, I can't make a motion to approve. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
I'll make a motion to approve the December
Your
meeting
notes look good.
as presented.
Thank you, Peter.
This is
This is
Jessie. I
Lisa. I'll
second that
second.
motion.
Terrific.
And will somebody who controls the meeting stop my share? When I click on this, it doesn't give me, all it says is new share instead of stop share. You see advanced sharing options. Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry. Figured it out.
So just for point of clarity, who seconded that motion? Jesse, or there was another voice?
Is that Lisa?
Okay, so we'll go with go Jesse. No, I'm kidding. Just who do you want to go with?
Where did the chair call? It's the chair's call.
Lisa, would you be willing to second this chair? It was.
This motion.
That way everybody gets a little voice in this meeting. Awesome. Thank you.
Great. And that way, when Molly watches this, she'll be able to note that Lisa seconded that motion that was moved by Peter.
Perfect. All right. Approval of agenda. So I guess we can do mine right now then. Points of note for approval of agenda. O team. There we go. Here we go. Does everybody see the agenda for tonight?
Yes.
All right, got the date correct. Time is spot on. We have gone through the opening, the song, the excitement, and the minutes. You'll see the community comments, pretty traditional. The information reports, I slipped a little bit one in there. So we have the administrators, the faculty, the WPG report, budget report, committee report. So we have the administrative committee, the WCC committee, and this is where I put the elections committee. Because it seemed like that was put in the last one. And then, of course, voting being a subtopic of that, and then our business. I'm not sure we actually dialed in a date for the three-body meeting. The ASD masking policy and our group associated with that. the principal evaluation tonight, as well as gratitude and adjournment. Does this look like what about everybody was expected to cover tonight? If so, would somebody be willing to approve first and second?
I move to approve the agenda as presented. This is Jessie.
Thank you, Jesse.
Peter
I'll
Host will
second.
second. Oh, okay.
Peter,
Somebody else.
that was
Peter got it.
all right. Thank you, everybody. Terrific. Stop share. So that takes us into community comments. 3 minutes each, please. Please note, this is the public's time to talk and the board's time to listen. Winterberry Charter Council does not hear complaints against students or personnel in public session. It is not the board's practice to engage in discussion or to answer questions during community comments. Commenters' names will be recorded in the minutes. Thank you. Would anybody like to speak tonight? All right, I will take that. Sorry, I didn't see anybody if they rose their hand, but I will move on to the next section there in the informational reports. Administrators report, Julie. Is this a good time for that?
All right. Principals report. Winterberry's mission, growing the innate potential of each child. Our vision is to receive the children in reverence, to educate them in love, and send them forth in freedom. In the heart realm, we are, in general terms, very happy to be back with each other after winter break. It's the children were glad to get back in their classrooms with their friends and their teacher, and there's been a lot of nice feelings around the school. Continued gratitude for our dear families who are providing us with delicious meals every Thursday before our staff meeting. It's just a great thing to have to look forward to every week. Encouraging families ongoingly to read Winterberry Business, our newsletter. Our numbers, our click rate, opening numbers are going up. I think that maybe the word is getting out more, and more people through my WPG and WCC announcements are also kind of tuning in, and I really appreciate that because Ms. Colleen specifically puts a lot of effort into those weekly newsletters, and they're very informative. It's a good way to keep up and to see some fun things that are happening around school during the week. Our outdoor committee, we have a noon Zoom next Wednesday at noon on the January 26th to talk about where our outdoor committee, where we've been, where we would like to go to, and how we're going to get there, and to gather more members, because our last meetings were really in 2018. So we're due for another kind of renewal of all that. Cross country skiing, it's going very well. Lots of rosy cheeked children who have been skiing and happy to be together come in the doors after school every day. And if anyone would like to ski just as a fun thing, they could use more adult skiers at the end, in the middle, or whatever your proclivity is for cross-country skiing. Come and join anytime. Parent volunteers needed for our ice rink. We'd like to put the ice rink together. We have a very busy but willing parent, and it would be nice to have some help with that. So just let me know. Maybe send me an email or stop and say, I'll help. I would like to develop some promotional material for Winterberry to showcase our school. Our next lottery opens February 1st, and our numbers, just as it happens this year, I don't know why in particular, and numbers across the district, especially in charter schools, but not homeschooling charter schools, have gone down slightly. And so it is important to stay, to keep Winterberry in the minds of our community. So different elements and ways to do that. And I would love to have people step forward, and some have. And I know WPG is kind of getting on that as well. So looking forward to finding ways to promote our school and show ourselves off. We have a great group of substitute teachers that have helped us to sustain normal operations at Winterberry. We are very fortunate. People that have come in our doors have been, for the most part, really aligned with our philosophies and excited and eager to be a part of our group. So it's been a really great thing to have, which is unusual for the rest of the district. COVID testing is available through our school nurse. She is now can do COVID testing with students and any of the students' family members in a couple of different forms, and is happy to do that. And then she delivers it. She's the like the runner for the delivery as well in the afternoon after school. So if that's something that any family would like, please contact our school nurse. I put that also in the newsletter. The Alliance for Public Waldorf Education Conference was this last weekend. I purchased a whole school and community ability to log on and participate in classes, and they were fascinating, and as they have been in person and also online. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from faculty and staff and parents who attended that. Changes in quarantine protocol with COVID positive students has gone through the CDC recommendations from 10 days to 5 days. Just wanted to make a note of that. Our school mentors, George Hoffaker and Donna Burgess, will be, they visited with us in one of our December staff meetings. They are our long time mentors from the second year of our school, and they're after a little hiatus are back to work with us as a faculty and staff, and also for individual staff and faculty members, and some mentoring for me, and hopefully some facilitation of our 3-body meeting. If we can get a date and it'll work, they would be willing to do that as well. So they've just got a wealth of information and experience with public Waldorf charter schools and being Waldorf teachers previously also. We started our tutoring program for our general education students that were identified as their class teachers as needing just a little bit of a boost, a little bit of support. So that is beginning to happen and will continue, and teachers can continue to identify students, and we have a team of tutors that will help our students this spring. Parent teacher conferences are in February. I just wanted to make a little note of it, trying to put things out a little bit ahead so we can all, just time goes by so fast. There's no school for students February 16th, 17th for parent teacher conferences. And then on the 18th, we have a professional development day. So there's also no school for students. Planning for our eurythmy teacher, we are going to share a eurythmy teacher after spring break, hopefully. We're trying to put that together. So if all goes as hoped for, she will come and spend a month with our schools, sharing her. And then I just put the 3-body meeting date, TBA, so we can maybe talk about that a little bit. And I think that's on the agenda to talk about down a little farther. So just ending with this quote: our highest endeavor must be to develop free human beings who are able of themselves to impart purpose and direction to their lives. The need for imagination, a sense of truth, and a feeling of responsibility. These 3 forces are the very nerve of education. Does anyone have any questions? I'll move far. Yeah, Mark.
Guess I was curious about the COVID test. So Miss Colleen does the swab and then takes it down in a group and it's PCR. Is that right?
Did I say Miss Colleen?
Well, I guess
Yeah, no, our nurse does that.
uh
Oh yeah,
yeah.
through a school nurse.
I was just curious that it's a PCR. That's very
Yeah.
nice. Thank you.
Yeah, and whereas we used to have a courier, that's what the word I was looking for, and now the nurses are the couriers, just because they don't think they had enough to do. So now they are also the couriers. Anyhow, she can collect all that through the day, and again, families, if there's concerns, she goes out to your car. There's we're a full service operation.
Wow.
Anyways,
Oh,
it's a great benefit.
I wasn't aware of how that was done, but I guess once it's fully understood, that's quite a bit, and it's very appreciated. Thank you.
It is taking longer. It takes us not longer than it used to take, but just longer. Well, no, that's not true. It is taking longer than it used to take. In December, it was a pretty short turnaround, a day, I think. And if you did it in the afternoon, you'd usually get the results by morning. But now it's sometimes a couple of days. So it's just the way it is all over now.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Is it just PCR tests, Julie, or is there the option for the rapid antigen?
I believe it's only PCR. I don't know a lot about it, but I think it's PCR, which is what the school district accepts, and what is I again, I don't really actually know that much about it, but I know that it's not the school district does not take a home test, won't take the results from a home test as a result. So.
Everybody's doing so much. Thank you.
I had a question for you, Julie. So kind of when you were talking about promoting Winterberry and getting the word out there for enrollment, my wife was showing me something that, and excuse me if I kind of botch it up a little bit, but it almost seemed like there's like a school fair or something where you can kind of get a booth that's out there. Do we have anything set up like that for that fair? Or?
A WPG person told me about the school fair a couple of days ago, and it's at the library on Saturday. And so today was a super busy day. Miss Colleen and I were going to go on and register for that. But yeah, there's one happening on Saturday. I think it's this Saturday. I'll check again, but
I think it was pretty soon. Yeah, like the 26th or something. I thought. I'm not sure exactly on that, but. And
I have a long history of Winterberry promotion, long before I was principal, before I was even had a student in the school. So I have a bag of tricks that the silks, the books, the main lesson books, etc., that I can take and put on a table and talk about Winterberry till they don't want to hear about anything else. So I am happy to do that, and I'm planning to do that. And if I can get myself organized enough, I might grab a few more willing parents or somebody who spot me. But I'm planning to be a part of that in any other way that I can. We had another, I think South Central Foundation was also another place that we felt like would be a good promotional platform for us.
And then I had another follow-up question to that. I'm just wondering if we have a budget for promotion work.
No,
Okay.
not, you mean like a budget, like a line item?
Yeah, I was just thinking about something like there might be opportunities for public service announcements, things like that. Not always are those short snippets by voice, radio. They're not always free of charge, right? Sometimes you can, though, get into those opportunities. That might be something to explore with WPG as a 501c3. But
Yeah.
just thinking about how there might be some of those avenues to explore to tell the story.
Yeah, and I checked with my some of my colleagues that are in other charter schools, and a couple of them do radio announcements. I think the homeschooling ones, Frontier and a Family Partnership, as much as I can remember. And we talked a little bit about the cost of those, but that's a good reminder, because I was thinking, yeah, and we have money that we could put toward that if we felt that it was something that a direction we wanted to go towards. And I know Peter and I have talked briefly about radio and things like that. And
that's great. I think it's great. The other thing is just thinking about demographics too. And so there's there's public radio, and then there's also the other stations that might also have a crossover to communities and populations that we might wish to touch. And so, yeah, I think that's really an opportunity. But again, it's what is feasible in the budget, and who could provide some support around the placement.
Good. Thank you very much for those thoughts. Anyone, anything else? Okay, thank you.
It might be worth mentioning just in the newsletter, just asking the parent community to spread the word about Winterberry, letting people know that the lottery, I don't know, is the lottery open right now or?
No, February 1st. Have you read today's newsletter, Paula?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Oh,
I mean, I scrolled through it, but I don't know.
I'm just giving you a hard time. Yes, it's in the newsletter.
Okay, asking parents to promote the school on their own social media and
to be good ambassadors for our school, as much as I remember. I mean, unless I dreamt that, but to be.
Yeah, it's in your note. It's in. It is like halfway down in Principal Pepe Phelps' note.
Yeah, just to look around, think about who that has children or anybody, just and web of word of mouth. We have gotten, so many of our students have come from somebody saying, I love my school, and then people like, oh, so and so told me that they loved it. And so it's a really valuable way of drawing students, families that that people think, well, I think you guys would like it too, because it is a certain kind of curriculum with a philosophy behind it, and kind of there's different ways that we want to go about it, sort of that mass, just let everybody know the word Waldorf and see if they can, but then there's also sort of the targeted people that likely would head in the direction of Waldorf education by their understanding already, or time in preschool programs and Waldorf programs or things like that. So I think a wide net is the best method.
I'd go as far, Julie, as just to let people know there's openings. Quite frankly, I think there's always, whenever I chat with people, there's a lot of interest. I think that a lot of people just don't realize that they actually have a chance. So they will come back. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
the lottery will will start February 1st, and then it'll be the same kind of thing. We'll have lists of people, and we'll go through that for the fall. That's sort of um, how it would work. And yeah, and I think spreading the word to even parents who have middle school students who don't want them to go to a large middle school, the infusion of a handful of new students. I think in my daughter's class, they got, 10, he got 10 new students in 7th or 8th grade or something. And it was really fun for them. It was fun for the students in class, and it was good for the children who would have been at a large middle school. It varies kind of how it goes, but
another avenue to perhaps pursue is with the lottery opening, just pitching the story to like education reporters who might be wanting to do some coverage of just what the lottery is, and maybe the fact that just how the school populations have shifted during the pandemic, and the fact that a lot of the charter schools are apparently losing student population, and like what's that all about, and that would be a good opportunity for you to be interviewed, so, and talk up the benefits of Waldorf education and stuff like that. So I don't know if Peter, I don't know how much access to the newsroom you have, or if you'd want to put a bug in the ear of whoever the education reporter is at Alaska Public Media, but that might be something to pursue.
Well, zero access, there's a firewall between everybody else in the newsroom. We're not allowed to suggest anything to maintain the ethical framework. But one thing that we have found for efforts that we have put out where we're trying to reach a very specific kind of demographic, say parents under a certain age, as awful as the company may be, targeted Facebook ads have been very effective in reaching this very specific communities that we're hoping to reach out to. And as far as bang for buck, you really can't compare. For a few $100s of very targeted ads, you can get yourself in front of somebody who hits your demographic multiple times over the course of a very short period of time, if you pay for that. So.
Good. And just a little word while we're kind of on that subject of trying to target, one of our values at Winterberry and Waldorf Education is to try to draw a diverse group of children and families to our school. And the impediments of that kind of draw have to do, diversity, meaning cultural diversity, socioeconomical, economic diversity. And what we have, been pondering is a couple things. One is the transportation piece, which is a huge issue for families that fall in lower socioeconomic levels, trying to just drive a child all the way across town for school and then picking them up, and especially when it's kindergarten and it's half day, and then not being able to maybe afford daycare. But another element is the aftercare element, trying to figure out, we used to have an aftercare program at Winterberry, and we discontinued that program. But that is something that is a requested and a requirement of many parents who are working beyond the school day. And then the free and reduced lunch element that we try and cover in our abundance of brown rice making each day, but it's and other things. I mean, we do purchase other foods to have for children that we know will not be able to, for whatever reason, have enough as much lunch as they need, much food as they need during the day. So, the transportation piece, the free and reduced lunch piece, and the aftercare piece are three elements that I think if we wanted to target our kind of brainstorming, those would be the three things that we could see how we could help families out in those ways, because that's, if you want to talk of why those families are not coming to us, those are the reasons.
I know that Carl Jacobs, who's on the school board, is very interested in pursuing diversity in charter schools, and specifically working on getting the school bus system to accommodate that. So I think if we're serious about, trying to have a more diverse student population, maybe having a conversation with Carl would be a good first step. I mean, there's many steps, but he comes to mind because I know that that's something that he cares about.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts or questions?
I'm just curious, Principal Pepe Phelps, if other principals from other charter schools share your desire in trying to get something along those lines going, specific around transportation.
We've been talking about transportation with ASD for as long as we've been a charter school. So for 17 years. And there's been, times when there's very pointed meetings, but the transportation piece has never been resolved. And it would be, if you think about it kind of critically, it is a very difficult piece because our children are Eagle River, Chugiak, we have one in Girdwood, we have Bear Valley, Diamond area, all, and then so we'd have to figure out how all those children who from whatever they were how would a bus get them to our school specifically? Mm-hmm. Transfer stations, that's what I say now.
Yeah, it might also be worth conversations with South Central Foundation and Cook Inlet Tribal Council, because they seem to have a lot of resources when it comes to vans and moving kids, from point A to point B. So those are also, people that I would think of to talk to, and maybe even the Alaska Native Heritage Center. Because maybe it has to be something outside of ASD. It sounds like the problem has been talked about for years and years and years. So maybe it's a matter of going beyond ASD.
Yeah, I guess the other thing is what ASD for liability purposes would allow us. They wouldn't allow us any kind of passenger vans, because those are, we can't even really rent those as far as transporting ASD students. So it would have to be like a premier bus, which we, have. It's just busing and transportation is right now, especially, is very, very difficult because of all the lack of work, the lack of workers, the lack of bus drivers. They're in a crisis right now, just having all kinds of issues. So the transportation piece right now, even in ASD, would be kind of a hard one to, until they get back on their feet, kind of. I don't know if they're gonna, but again, like, pursuing all these avenues is will happen. That's the best way to do it.
I just am wondering, since outreach and diversity is something that comes up from time to time and seems something that this board is interested in, if it's something that should be in an agenda item.
Or a standing committee.
Mm-hmm. I think rather than having, because there's a lot of good ideas, and then if they get tacked onto a principal's report, then it's tossed around. But if it's an agenda item, then it's there's follow through. So that is just thought.
I think that's a good idea.
Do you think that there should be a committee around this so that it is more than just an agenda item, but people are working on it on an ongoing basis?
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, there should be.
I'm only serving for a little bit longer, but I'm willing to put myself on that committee.
I'd be on it too, but I'm also probably not going to be serving much longer. So,
Well, and if we get it launched, then it'll be a standing committee, in which case others can join and but I think launching that committee would be a good idea.
So I'm just making some notes here as I kind of do for our next meeting. This is an agenda item for.
And Principal Pepe Phelps, to me, it seems like there's some work in the short order leading up to the lottery, right? So even trying to have dividing some tasks to support the launch of the lottery and picking up some of these things here in the next week and a half.
Well, in WPG, because I was at their meeting a couple weeks ago, and there's a whole group of people who are kind of jumping in to help with different things, and we're getting our website tuned up, and just kind of getting ready for that. And then we've got tours, ongoing tours that we are already starting tours. People are already starting to tour our building, and so it's in that. And then this weekend at the library, there could be, and then just tracking, where our new families come from, so we have some sense of like, okay, was it? I mean, why did you? And I try to ask people when I see them, how did you learn about us? Oh, I had a friend who told me about you. Oh, I just put in for alternative schools and this came up and now I'm here and we got in and I'm just checking it out. So there's a whole gamut of reasons people, and it's good to know. So we can then target groups possibly that we know. And we have a Facebook page. There's a Waldorf, I don't do Facebook, but I mean, I have a Facebook page myself, but I don't typically go on it very often. So and I know that there's a Winterberry Facebook page, and there's somebody else chime in, like a Waldorf. I know there's a Waldorf homeschooler page that.
And there's Friends of Winterberry. You're right. There's lots of avenues.
And that's and then we have a WPG parent who said that she wanted to do not a blog, but what's like it's like a blog. I can't remember
a vlog, like a video log.
Something like that. And I was also thinking, we could put things on our website, just a little, like a little taste of our school, some little video. And and then there was an interview 2 years ago that Robert DeBerry of ASD Communications did with me about our school, and that is not on our website. And we're going to put that on. And we have a beautiful new little family handbook, so we give that out to visitors or people that are interested in knowing about our school. So, and that's also on our website. So I think getting our website tuned up, where we have all of our teachers and some bios with them and any other information because that's what people do. They go to the website and read about what the school's about. And it'd be nice to have some little video, with, It's the sounds of singing down the halls and things like that. And like I always say, we show well, we show well, and we stand up to it. Right? We're in a beautiful phase of our school right now, and we're very proud of it. So.
Do we have any like rack cards or like little flyers, postcards that you can hand out at events or drop off at,
No, we don't. We had no, we had I guess that was a advertisement for garden, like a picture of a teacher's blackboard drawing that was really beautiful with some writing. And we can get printing done for free through King Tech. So that's also a great idea. Promotion. Yeah, Mark?
Yeah, I don't know if what would be the best solution on this, but Tapia and I had batted around just buying a bunch of bumper stickers for the school to put on their vehicles. And, it's the first time somebody sees the word, the second time they see the word, and the third time they see a link that they click on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was, just something simple that we thought if we bought and spread around, people might. But if there was something already created or something that we could piggyback on, it would take the brainchild out of us doing something that maybe didn't touch the heart of what we were officially trying to do.
Well, after 100 rainstorms or whatever, snowstorms, that my Winterberry bumper sticker that said "It's a wonderful day at Winterberry" came off my car. And I had another one, we sold them in the school store. It said Waldorf education from the inside out, and it was red and white and really beautiful. And I did look into bumper stickers 2 years ago with this local group, and that's really fun. I mean, bumper stickers are magnetized stickers and things like that. That's great idea.
And easy for people that maybe have an outlet to give to them.
Yeah.
An idea. And Toppy and I can run with that too. So maybe we'll see if we can find some templates that we can piggyback off of.
Nice.
So just walk away from this. What I hear is that we're looking for an agenda item to now be a running agenda item, at least for the rest of the year. And that will be something like an enrollment committee, and there will be a subcommittee of that is a committee for diversity outreach that both Jesse and Paula are interested in at least spearheading for the time being. Is that correct?
I don't know if the enrollment committee was going to be a standing committee. I heard Jesse saying that diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, would be a committee, but I might have misheard that.
Yeah, and that's with recruitment. You can throw recruitment in there, right? Or outreach, however you want to frame it.
Yeah, okay, maybe just outreach is in a business item, and it's loosely linked with gave me a wonderful acronym just a second ago, Paula. And what was that? DEI.
DEI, it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's kind of like the buzz phrase now for trying to recruit people who aren't white to organizations and leadership positions. So, but yeah, DEI.
Inversion. Got it. Diversity, equity, and inversion. Thank you.
And inclusion.
Inclusion. That makes way more sense. I was like, okay, yeah. Hey. Inclusion like dyslexia. All right. Shall we transition into the faculty report? Terrific.
Sarah, how about you share the happy stuff first?
All right. We have Battle of the Books. The 5-6 team is going next week, I think, on Miss Principal Peppy Phelps. Do you know, are they Monday or Tuesday?
Tuesday, I think.
Tuesday, and Miss Towner won't be there because of her surgery, but there are 2 teams going and they're pretty excited. And then the week after is the 7 and 8 team. So that is, I think that's the only thing we talked about, Lisa. Okay.
So that's the good news. The kind of unsettling news for faculty is that we still do not have a teacher's contract. The district and our union had come to an impasse, and so they brought in a mediator, and mediation failed. And so we are on to the next step in our contract negotiation, which is arbitration. And I'm not entirely sure if the arbitrator has started yet or what the timeline of that is. But we are still here working without a contract, which is a little bit discouraging.
What does that mean in practicality to be working without a contract? Like,
it means that we're being compensated based on last year's agreed contract. And then if there's any change, if they did a salary increase, it would all happen retroactively. So there hasn't been a salary increase or any change to contract language. And I think that 3 months for arbitration is what I have heard about. So probably around summertime.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the other implication of that, Paula, to answer your question, is that it just leaves morale pretty low. You know, to know that you know we are still haven't been able to come up with an agreement that meets the needs of the school district and also honors the needs of the employees of the school district.
is it a year-to-year contract, or how long are those contracts? 2 years?
3 years.
Okay. Is there anything we can do as a body to help out?
Speak at board meetings, at the school board meetings, write letters. I mean, that's about all that I can think of to do.
Is that possibly something that we can either put, or maybe it is in the school letter, as well as an agenda item, just as a reminder for business, you know, like we say, oh, by the way, upcoming is this, you know, and it doesn't have to take up a lot of time, but it does, you know, it's something that we remind each other once a month. Or should we just keep that in the faculty committee?
The
It's just kind of like, what are dates, times, whatever, that if for people to be involved?
Oh, for like when the school board meetings are coming up?
Yeah.
I don't know if that is something that that especially faculty has the ability to broadcast out there. I mean, I would flip that over to administration and find out if it's their responsibility or role, but I'm going to guess no.
I have some thoughts on that. It is pretty sensitive, Mark, and I would just say it is of importance, and it's healthy that we're having the conversation and we're able to hear from faculty on this critical issue. In the past, our school has had very involved parents when it comes to education policy, and have had opportunities for parents to, parent to parent, communicate about these issues and move forward. But it wouldn't be an organized effort through, say, the WCC. So
yeah, I guess we just
there
like
are, right.
Like
there are
state-
other like Friends of Winterberry. There are other avenues that a lot of that communication may happen, and those are great avenues, I think, to explore as parents, but aside from a WCC hat.
Okay.
But I would welcome any other parents to add on if you have other or members, if you have alternate thoughts to add to that.
I think it would be good to get spread the word about the status of the contract negotiation. I didn't, I don't follow it that closely, so I wasn't aware of that. And probably most other parents or many other parents aren't aware of it. And so if they were made aware and said, hey, if you are concerned about this, you have an opportunity to testify before the next school board meeting or write a letter. I mean, that's good information to have. Somebody would just have to draft it up and then, post it.
And I do think, if my memory serves, I think earlier this school year, there was a strong contingency of Winterberry parents that did come and actively advocate, which is just good to make note of. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so want to recognize that too. But moving forward,
moving forward is a pretty
yeah.
positive statement. Sorry, team. I know my locals are getting a little crazy as well. Please allow me to carry a message, but in the interest of time, may I transition to the WPG report?
Yes, absolutely. So my WPG report today is really quite short. Some of the items that I could have touched upon briefly or covered very eloquently by Principal Pepe Phelps. So thank you for that. One thing I did want to note is there was a good discussion, ongoing conversation about our teacher training and opportunities to fund that. Ongoing conversations related to the potential and next steps around fundraising and what that might look like. That's, I think, going to be continual dialogue that the WPG has, since that's a big part of their work. One thing that was requested of me was just to note that there are some who are interested in exploring grant making opportunities. I know there's been synergy between our two bodies in the past around seeking support from other entities to support our school. And I think that is an ongoing area of interest. So just wanted to flag that. Peter, I know you're serving on a committee. Is it a committee of one at this time? Okay, so I think there's good energy and engagement from our other body, that being WPG, and would be happy to connect with you offline to share more.
Please just invite me and I will set aside the time.
That's great. That's great. And I would just conclude my report there and be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Okay.
Thank you, Jesse. Next item is the budget report with Shana, obviously. Oh,
Yeah, and Shayna's ill and is not here tonight and does not have the budget report. And so we'll roll that into next month's meeting.
do we need to make a motion on that? Motion to push off that conversation to the next.
Probably. Well, it was just a report, so I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess it's not really much of a motion then, but I would like to make a motion that next month we cover this month and that month, which will probably lump together everything. And somebody be willing to support that, be great.
So I move to combine a January and February budget report at our next meeting.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Paula and Jesse. The committee reports, first being administrative committees. I probably need to write in there what my Who's on the safety committee?
Well, okay, on the safety committee is right now is me, Colleen, and Nurse Katrina. In the past, we've had our faculty chair and also a student, which is ideal. But for this particular meeting, the safety meeting that was needed to happen before this meeting, we don't have that together at this point. So here is the highlights safety wise. Couple of items. Our second semester drills, fire drill, earthquake drill, ALICE drills are being scheduled right now, and we'll be in compliance with all of our drills that we need to do before the end of the school year. There is a protocol that we're going to put into our faculty handbook and when we update our family handbook. But I thought I'd speak it just now. It has to do with, it's called Missing Children Protocol. And I wanted to clarify that because parents sometimes get a little bit annoyed with robocalls that happen at 10:30 in the morning when, their child either the attendance hasn't been delivered or something, the message that it's an excused absent hasn't happened. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of history that I've been recently made aware of as far as the attendance robocalls, which is that they were instated due to Amber Alerts, so basically, our students start a little earlier than the rest of the district mostly. And then by 10:30, by 10 o'clock attendance is due, and then by 10:30 robo calls start going out, just so that parents are aware that a child wouldn't be, have been noted to be in a classroom, so that then we would move in a direction which includes, if a child is found, missing, if the parents are like, well, I know that they're at school, then we would start a certain protocol of searching our school, and then, with radio wide contact with all of our members of our school, and probably in our school door to door. And then during that same time, in the midst of that, we would then call ASD security, our SRO, who's our school police officer, parents, and then search the nearby school and trails and things like that. And just go in that direction. It would be then in the hands of law enforcement at a certain point after awareness was made in that situation. So we have not had that situation happen, and hopefully we're some wood, we will never have that situation of a missing student. But even when a child maybe has come in and not told their teacher they're coming in to use the restroom or something, we have a very quick way by radio and by transporting information to Colleen and me, and we immediately start to go into a pattern of searching for a child, asking what's happening. We take any kind of question of where the location is for any child very seriously from the minute that anybody brings it to our attention. So after school, only students with permission forms at the front desk are allowed to walk home. Students in lower grades cannot leave campus unattended, and students in the upper grades can accompany their younger siblings home. So just to know, it's just a little bit of not a new protocol, but something that ASD is kind of putting out a little more formally, and we will also put that into our family information so that everybody knows that we have a protocol and a procedure for that. And just one last item having to do with COVID. The at-school testing is working well for families. The link to the registration site will be in our newsletter, will be in the newsletters until when until further notice. We'll just keep that link going in the newsletter so families can access that, and probably on our website. I haven't checked to see if it's on the website, but that would be also a good thing to do, because you link up, register, and then it's a very simple process of bringing, being in contact with Nurse Katrina and having her, and the results are taking between 12 and 24 hours. And then Sarah had said something that it is actually a little faster than it's been, a week ago or something. So that's the safety report.
Thank you very much, Julie. And Mark mentioned that he needed to step away briefly, but to just continue on down the line for the agenda. If somebody is looking at the agenda, that would be helpful to know what the next subcommittee report is.
Legislative policy.
Ah, okay, good. I have no report. Only because there's been no change since the last time I reported. It's about the same. So I have no new information to share.
Okay, and it's a grant committee with no report. And then it is elections committee, board roster and openings. Very
good. Okay, I can take that one. I did meet with Ms. Towner, and we had a small and mighty team of 2 committee meeting. We are welcoming an additional parent if a parent is identified, and would be happy to add them to our team, but we needed to proceed ahead. Hopefully you have had a chance to see the newsletter that went out today. Ms. Colleen graciously placed a note that we crafted, just letting it be known that elections are coming up, and putting a call out to our community to either self-nominate themselves if they're interested in pursuing candidacy, or to nominate another. And there are 3 questions that were inserted in that announcement, and they are standard. We've used these same questions in the past, so I did want to note that as well. They are, why would you like to serve on the WCC? What vision do you have for the future of the board and the school? And finally, what skills do you hope to bring to the board? So the hope there is that, that's inclusive, very broad questions, and you can go many directions with that versus, share your resume and so forth. The deadline to submit those to the committee is the end of this month, so January 31st. And what we wanted to pass along is we were exploring a couple ideas on how to disperse ballots, because we're not doing those in-person events that we have in the past that were really helpful for collecting ballots. One curiosity we had, and I hope that was perhaps discussed today with faculty, is if it felt comfortable for faculty to have a stack of ballots near where they're doing parent-teacher conferences this year, and then a ballot box in the lobby area. That was one idea. The other idea, open for feedback, is having, and this could be a combination, having ballots go home with children, and then they can place ballots and envelopes in the box in the lobby when they return. That's how we've generally handled our elections in the past, is we've had a locked box. So very just straightforward process. We collect the ballots. There's a timeline yet to be determined on when we're going to cut that off, and then we'll count them. So I would love to hear if there is faculty response to any of that and any other ideas that you might have.
I think we can run it by the other teachers. I think it sounds reasonable. I don't think anyone's gonna have any concerns or problems with that.
Okay, and so it sounds like maybe this didn't hit your radar earlier today. I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
Thank you for considering it. And does it sound like, so based on that, Sarah and Miss Lisa, are you in agreement? Nothing feels strained or like it's one more thing? Like it's okay? Okay.
One thing to note is that a lot of the parent-teacher conferences will happen on Zoom. So
Mhm. So
at least probably about half.
So perhaps then that thought of sending ballots home with children might be a little more of a broader net to cast. Okay.
Another thing that I was wondering about, Jesse, is can we email ballots and have families print them off and bring them back, or no?
I think we could do that. That I'm comfortable with. I was also thinking, like, could you do voting by survey or things like that? That I think can get a little trickier for like the counting, and I think print ballots, it's old fashioned, but it's a good space, right? And traditional. So that I don't have any concerns around printing them off. No. Unless somebody else does.
Can I ask, are there like standard self-addressed envelopes to the school for any project that has existed in the past, for the potential of somebody to, slip something into a mailbox just in case?
No, we don't have any
Okay.
self-addressed stamped envelopes.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could ask them to provide the stamp in the old days of nonprofit before we had the standard code. You'd have
Yeah.
to stamp it and send it back. But I just was, asking that just because I know that the logistics of collection, even if they are sent home with the kids, might be then the
You're
final
gonna get out of the
barrier for
backpack.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's almost like don't put it in your backpack, hold it in your little hand, right? Please. Yeah, and we can work through some of that too. I appreciate that. The one other piece is building on our last conversation that we had last month. You'll see in the announcement that we kept it pretty broad and mentioned that there are spaces for, you can see my little dog is running around with his cone. He has a cone of shame on. Oh, no. Excuse me. And so oh no. Oh. I'm so sorry. Hang on a second. Okay, so we stated that there's a community position, parent, and teacher positions open. And so Mark, my question is, didn't it happen that when you shifted over, you had been in a community position and then you filled Alex's seat as president? Is that accurate?
I think I originally had a seat that was community/parent.
Aha.
And
Okay.
when I transitioned from community to parent, I still held the same board seat.
And
I was
so
trying to
per
read
our bylaws, do we still have a seat that is needing to be filled for a community member?
Yes, but I also think that so seat D is a community/parent, seat M is a community/parent. So the seat that Sue and I held is a duo spot.
And there are no sole parent or community only seats.
Not that I see, correct.
Okay, great. And then the other thing, and it might be small and nitpicky, and then it's my last thing. Is it correct to be saying it's a teacher position, or should that read faculty?
Faculty. It should be a faculty.
Thank you. So we'll update that for the next announcement that's going to go out and any other future pieces, because right now it says teacher, and I apologize for that.
Well, no,
I think
faculty is
it
just
says
another word for
faculty or
teacher.
staff.
Yeah, I think we say, I think it's I mean, I think it's been just always traditionally faculty. I don't think just a general staff member, non-teacher member of our staff has ever held that.
Yeah, this is the role that I have, and faculty or staff.
Oh, faculty or staff. Wow.
Community
Oh, yeah.
parent,
So Shana.
parent,
Yeah.
WCG appointed, Jesse. Parent, and then there are two, but only on this voting is there two parent or community members, and then of
Okay.
course recording secretary. Interestingly enough, though, on this it doesn't have our then next roles of who is the treasurer and this, those such things.
Yeah, and I think that some of that, hopefully with these responses that we get, all candidates will have their written responses to those 3 questions. That'll really help inform the elections, right? So the ballot will come with some education as well. So we could maybe hopefully assess who might bring skills that could lend towards maybe serving as treasurer and some of those things moving forward. And we've had talks about board matrices and trying to see, how to broaden our skill set as a body. So in wrap up, if you know of anyone who might want to serve as a parent on this election committee, please let us know. And similarly, if you are planning to continue to run for the WCC, please help by submitting your responses personally to those questions. And if you have other individuals you'd like to encourage to run, please do so. And you can send your responses to either myself or to Molly, and we'll keep moving things forward. Thank you.
That is valuable input. I forgot about needing to submit something for myself. Thank you for the reminder.
Absolutely, and thanks to everyone's willingness to continue serving. It's a great body.
Business set a date for the 3-body meeting. It just seemed like that was lingering. Have we done that or not quite yet? Should we keep that on the agenda and move on to the next line item just for the sake of speed?
Yes, although we have to at some point, and WCC is typically the kind of hosting body of the 3-body meeting. It tends, has a facilitator and is looking at, all the elements of what we do at Winterberry and our needs and desires as we come together as a 3-body. We just need to pick a date.
Didn't we spoke about this at length, and then we heard some feedback on just how, with everything going on, I heard some clear feedback from our faculty in this body that it felt like it was too much to add on. And then we talked about spring. Are we feeling like spring is a little more comfortable now?
I don't know.
I mean, maybe I would say, yeah, maybe.
After spring break, spring?
I think there's like a sweet spot of time. And yeah, I think like after spring break, but probably before too deeply into April.
Mm-hmm. And then also thinking about that buffer after any travel. Hopefully, we'll see what world we're living in at that point, but.
Oh, I would say that we should count on doing it over Zoom. because our facilitators will most likely be on Zoom, and we could get a much bigger level of participation most likely if we do it
Okay.
that way.
That's great. Then maybe if you're looking for direction, I hear you, Principal Pepe Phelps. Maybe it's exploring it with our school mentors on their availability after spring break and before mid-April, and then moving forward with what they can do.
Okay. I'll talk to them about that.
Thank you. It looks like Mark had to step away again. Do we have another agenda item, Peter?
It says ASD masking policy and Winterberry, and then principal evaluation are the two items upcoming.
Okay. Did we want to revisit the masking because it was such a big topic of ours before the extension of ASD's masking policy? Is that the thought?
I don't know the justification of the placement on the agenda, given that there was ultimately no change. Oh, Mark is back.
Mark.
Yeah.
Mark.
I mean, there was almost a special session drawn.
I know.
We saw that kind of last minute, and we were going to do something on the 12th. It felt very impending that they were going to extend it out. So we didn't really want to mess with that and have any additional stresses on the team. And so I put it on the item tonight so that hopefully we could maybe come to a quick consensus based on what if they, I mean, maybe I read it incorrectly, and that's my bad. When they said they were planning on making a decision before the 15th, did that mean that they could have said on Monday, we're not going to have masks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there is
and
always
so
that
what I didn't want to
chance.
do is have, they did something crazy. And on Monday, it's Saturday, they said they lifted the mask mandate, and our group hadn't talked about that yet. All we're in the street was saying that was not, that they were certainly going to keep the masking going, but would we like to come to our own decision first so that we don't have any last minute impending decisions, I guess?
So I was just trying to look through the emails because I thought that I had sent it on to you, Mark. Chris Barr, who is our director of charter schools, on behalf of all the charter schools, brought the request to the superintendent, and what I and all of that was just like a furry froth of in December, and then what we were going to do when we come back, and then it was put off. The school board came and said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do the masking optional starting the 1st. And then it was put off, and then the numbers were higher. But I believe, I'm trying to find I kind of felt like Mr. Barr brought it to the district, and the district had because in the past we have, made decisions and brought it to the district in that sort of method. And this time,
It was a little bit different.
And this time, I think that Mr. Barr went ahead, and I'm trying to find just in a minute here, let me see if I can find his, let me see if I can.
I was made aware that there was a
that he
unique change in that decision.
Yeah.
Sorry, my battery's dying.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I don't want to say anything that I am not being really clear on the specific information of what Mr. Barr brought to us. And but it was something along the lines of we are required to follow ASD protocol as a directive to charter schools specifically.
Oh, wow.
So, and that is, on the, again, like what we did before in the returning to school, things that we did last year, we had a different method. We
Yes.
had a decision, we brought the decision, and then that decision was not challenged. In this particular situation, our director of charter schools, on behalf of charter schools, went to talk to the superintendent about the ability to do something optional. And again, like I'm not going to be able to quote it, but I do have it's in an email, and I will.
Is that something you could send to us? Is that allowed? And then we will not have a dialogue after, but just for our own awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So to that end, Mark, I would say that I would request that we would convene a rapid response meeting if there were a circumstance where we were faced with something along those lines. And we'd need to just come together and have a discussion. And it's such a situational thing. It's hard to say right now how we would respond. But I do think that could be warranting a special meeting, a follow-up meeting, a little more engagement. And in the past, when we've needed to do that, it's really nice for Principal Pepe Phelps to have WCC leadership and representation, as the APC to engage at that level and explore on behalf of school safety and well-being. That's initial thought I would have. And then, written correspondence is needed to the board. I mean, there's steps that could be taken if needed, if there were concerns that we weren't able to act as a charter school.
So I just wanted to see if I was on. So I found the email that Chris Barr sent to us on Monday, the 20th of December. Hello all, I've met with upper leadership and all ASD schools, including charter schools, will follow ASD COVID mitigation plan at this time, including optional masking. And then Dr. Bishop and her team, and this was before the school board situation. Continue the trends, and it says, please note the ASD charter school contract with the ASD charter school contract with ASD states, quote, charter schools shall comply with all district policies and procedures and all applicable local, state, and federal laws concerning student welfare, safety, and health, including without limitation those policies, procedures, and laws addressing the reporting of child abuse, accident prevention, disaster response, and governing the operation of school facilities. So anyway, that's just, a little kind of the snippets of what this letter said. Again, previously we had a decision, we brought it to the superintendent, that decision was not challenged, and we proceeded. In this case, it was in a different situation where the optional, in this letter, it was that it was the 20th of December, so it hadn't fully, a lot of things transpired. Anyway, so that's the information that I have, and we, can go in whatever direction. I think things are going along kind of the way we maybe intuitively thought they were going to, which is there was going to be after vacation rise and hopefully a settling out again. We'll see.
Paula, you had your hand raised first. Would you like to say
Yeah.
something?
I just want to make sure for clarification's sake that I'm understanding this. So are you saying that Chris Barr went to the superintendent and asked if like charter schools could do things differently than what ASD is saying regarding masking? And the response was no, charter schools have to follow whatever ASD says. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay. So in other words, like if Dina Bishop said, oh, masking's optional from now on, then we would have to do that as a charter school.
Mm-hmm. Unless we challenged it.
How would we challenge it? What are the options for challenging?
We would put forth a request, maybe a letter from our WCC, and see if we could get special approval to do something in a different manner.
Mhm.
I mean,
And by that we mean more constrictive, not less constrictive.
mm-hmm. And we sent 2 letters, if I can recall, last year, to ask 2 times when we were going to go back to school. We wanted to delay that time.
Yep.
And the first time, I believe we kind of put that forth through Daryl, our former charter school director. And then I think the next time we just put forth a letter, because this is sort of uncharted territory that we have found ourselves in this particular situation. And so it worked in the way that we wanted it and needed it to work. But we hadn't had a request hadn't been made, and then you'll follow, there was no, everything was so new, I think, and people were very sensitive to other people. And now I think things have changed slightly, because I think we've been now through this for a year-ish, and the district has seen, I just think that we're in a different place, and maybe the district has different feelings about, when everything is just completely up in the air and all new, then it's like, okay, you can kind of make your way. And when it's been tried a little bit, then the district they're thinking about it more, like, okay, are we all going to go in do this together, stay in, in the same track as each other, or are we going to allow different schools to do different things with Anchorage School District students? So I think that's what's on the table right now.
I think it would behoove us to investigate what our options really are. I mean, that might be the district's interpretation of the rules, but everything in life can be challenged. And if they're gonna ultimately go with a less restrictive policy regarding masking that we might not agree with, it seems like we need to know what kind of ground we're standing on. I don't know whose work that is to look into that, but it just seems like we should be prepared, because it seems like by all indications there's going to be another variant coming along. So I don't see this going away anytime soon.
Yeah, and just so that we're very, that we keep all sides of everything on the table, there are different feelings in our own community. We have different people who have different feelings about masking, and the other kinds of dangers to students, the kind of the greater perspective on continued masking with students, the dangers of disease, and also of the things that people believe about masking children and having children be masked and teachers be masked without. So anyhow, So while you WCC goes ahead with directives or decisions, please keep in mind that there are a lot of different feelings within our own community about that, and that those voices are, equal. They have equal weight.
I think though, don't we, our default is that we follow CDC guidance, not people's feelings.
No, the default is that we follow, if we're an ASD school, we follow ASD policies, what we kind of have come to the conclusion of, because if we go outside of that realm, this was previously that we've talked, in our faculty meeting, we've talked about that, because we've talked about it on WCC, if we go outside of the realm, then it seems that the onus would be to prove somehow why we're doing that. And that we were kind of in question of like, okay, how would we do that? How would we prove that this is the right decision as Winterberry Charter School?
Sue, you've had your hand up for a long time. Can we call on you?
Sure. So I had one point to the letter. To me, what's missing, and maybe it was just implied or it was said, was that we had always said we wouldn't ever do less than what ASD said, but that if we wanted to be more stringent or more protections, that's what we wanted to do as a charter school. And that just what the letter that you read kind of sounds like a blanket response to across the board. And so I think that I'm missing that, you can't go. It kind of sounds like they're telling us, no, everybody has to go about the same so people don't do less.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of that's how I heard it. And so that's where I would want specific clarification that, oh, you mean we can't do more. We can't be more, like, for example, follow what the CDC says. And then I think I had something it goes back to what, going with what the CDC says. We don't have as Winterberry, we don't have any proof, but I think our justification comes from what do public health officials say we should be doing, not school district people, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So that's just what those were just the two things that I had in my mind.
Mark, can I speak? Okay,
Please.
I'll be very brief because we're almost at 8 o'clock. So as a charter school, we are a public charter school, so I understand that nuance. And here's a tidbit. I was serving on the State Board of Education as a youth when the first charter school was approved in the state of Alaska. That was forever ago. But so in terms of charter, I understand our role and responsibilities. But there is a nuance, and I also just wonder if, because this was an inquiry that Chris made versus an inquiry that we as an APC make, that is different and worth exploring. And right now, as Principal Pepe Phelps mentioned, we don't have sort of that understanding that things are changing. Things have evolved, and we are where we are following ASD guidance. And I do think it would just be prudent to have sort of a sense of how we might proceed as a body to reconvene if it seems as though that direction is moving in a way that causes us discomfort as a board, and then go from there. with a written response, or, thinking about the sensitivities Principal Pepe Phelps is mentioning and our responsibilities to the whole, balanced with science and safety. So I don't know if there's a business decision that needs to be made tonight. Mark, let me know if you disagree with that assessment.
Kind of, I'm hearing it. Having a hard time responding, probably just taking it all in, I guess. As a board, I think it's important for us to honor the team, and the best way that we can honor the community that we represent is to make sure we know all of our options, and that we're working hard to know all of our options so that we understand the precedent that is in front of us today, because that is different than how I understood it before. So as everybody should be heard, let's just know what the rules are, I guess. That's probably my 2 cents worth, I guess, Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, going on in the conversation. So
yeah, it's a shifting sand, right? Because we do have our precedents. Our precedence is that we were able to sort of flex that little bit of local authority that we felt we had the 2 previous times. And I think in that regard, with Paula's concerns, that is our precedence. So this is sort of a change. The only other wrinkle is that it wasn't our voice that was formally making that request. It was a request in a different way. And Sue's right, maybe there's clarity. There's also a risk, I think, in sort of jumping to a different level of, can you tell us more about this? You can almost undercut what we might find out if we were to take an active step as a body on our own. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think no matter what side of this long conversation we've been having for the last 2 years, it's important to know what our rights are as a school, and our relationship with ASD. I have to imagine the other charter schools are probably much like tonight, having this conversation, a little bit of I don't know, bewilderment, maybe that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we are ASD.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Julie, do you confer with the other charter school presidents? Like, can you, or have you, informally just reached out and asked them about, like, what their understanding of the rules are, so to speak, about whether you can deviate from ASD policy on masking?
Do you mean when you said charter school presidents?
Or not presidents, principals. I'm sorry.
Okay, because if it was maybe their APC presidents, that would be another group of people to talk to. And actually, I think it would be really helpful to have, because we've talked through the years of having APC, WCC, kind of periodic meetings with the different, heads of those boards. But anyway, we definitely talk to each other. We have monthly meetings, and we, just because things have gone along as they have, the numbers are higher, and there's just been so much kind of chaos in schools lately with, so many children out, teachers out, lack of staff, all kinds of chaos that's happening in a lot of other schools. Not as much in our school. We do have a lot of children out, and but we have good coverage for teachers and things. So we haven't lately been talking about this situation because it's still kind of, up in the air. We haven't challenged it, but we've talked about the fact of like, okay, and it was a little ambiguous to us too when we saw that email, but again, it was like, Christmas break then, and nobody wanted to really get into it. So we haven't brought that back yet. My feeling is that things are going to have to settle down before that possible masking optional will come back around again. I mean, it's not going to happen in a time of such as these. And then at that point, probably WCC, APC boards will, put forth a statement, likely maybe collectively, individually, but delivered by the director, which is what we did last time. It all went through Daryl. I mean, our former charter school director, we gave him the letter or the whatever, and he brought it to the superintendent. So it's always been through our charter school director. So.
Thank you, everybody. Just in the interest of time, it's a legit statement to keep that on our mind and meditate on it for the moment and talk to our communities and come back to that, and know that we will watch the ASD and share information when we know it, so that everybody has a chance to spread information. The principal evaluation is the next line item on the subject. It is, of course, getting late, and I want to make sure that we honor our principal. That being said, may I pull up our this is the PDF that you sent me on that for the moment, Miss Julie.
Mm-hmm.
So share screen, pop it open. Everybody able to see it? So this is from earlier this month. Annual reminder. We should all be giving this attention. There obviously needs to be something in writing so that we can go forward. I guess one of the last bits here, though, is that the point of this is that it needs to be done before the end of February. Is this something that maybe we should have a special session on?
Yes.
That way we could talk about this with fresh minds and quality thoughts, and put together something in writing, and not rush through it in a time of late eating.
Mm-hmm. And that's customary. We've typically had a special session set aside and pre-work around this. It takes time, as it should.
Great. That sounds appropriate to me. Does anybody, should we set a date, or would this be better in an email where I ask everybody one of 3 or 4 dates? Does anybody have any nominations for dates for a special session?
I'm looking at calendar right now.
Yeah. My initial thought is, well, if we split the difference between this meeting and the next meeting, that's maybe, but I don't know if that coincides with the WPG meeting. So being like February 3rd.
Let me look. That would be, I think that's the first. Yeah, that's the first Thursday. So what about the 10th?
That works fine for me.
How about for other fellow WCC members? The 10th of February?
Possibly.
Just to-
I'm
Just a quick question, sorry. I know that sometimes faculty are not part of the session where you discuss the results in admin, and I don't know if the meeting that you're proposing on the 10th is one that you would want faculty to be there to set up the process. Like usually we're involved as far as there's usually a survey that's done anonymously through faculty members, and we bring that back, and then that's the first initial step for us, and that's the only step. I didn't know.
You know what? I think that, Mark, I would suggest that your direction that we empower Miss Lisa and Miss Glasser to proceed with their faculty work as it relates to the survey, because that is the custom.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'm sorry, I'm not maybe been through it twice so far. And that faculty work, is that usually summed up? Like what's your typical target for that?
We've done just surveys,
Okay.
and they're paper and electronic. They're anonymous, and then Lisa and I, we distribute them, and then we collect them, and we just hand them over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah and Lisa.
Would it be possible, do you think, for that feedback to be available to help inform our work on the 10th, or is that too tight of a timeline?
I think that's doable. It's we have the surveys from the past. Usually the WCC looks at the survey and makes sure that's the questions that they want addressed.
Yep.
So, but it usually if we have a week and a half, that's enough time for Lisa and I to get them from everyone.
That's great.
Yeah, if there's any other processes involved with this, I appreciate reminders. Thank you too.
And then just another thought is that we do have some faculty members out. We might have some out that might this year take a little bit longer if we have an uptick in teacher absences.
Terrific. So may I put down a note that our target is going to be, just a target for February 10th?
Works for me.
Thank you, Mark.
For a special sesh. Thank you, everybody. And everybody's favorite. It's almost twice as nice as the excitement sharing, but the gratitude. Shall we transition into that? Yeah. All right.
Oh, go ahead. You're gonna go, Mark?
Oh, I'll lead the way in gratitude. I feel grateful for that. I feel honored, and I'm having a good time. I'm specifically grateful for the people of our board and the people of the WPG. It takes a lot to keep these schools going. It's fun to be part of, to do meaningful work, and thank you all. I look forward to our new members who will be joining this party. The bravery that it sometimes takes to do something new, and maybe something that you're not accustomed to, is neat, and I look forward to opportunities of bravery for our fellow community members.
I can chime in and just say I'm really grateful for the thoughtfulness and the critical thinking that happens in this body. And there's a lot of heart too, but I know that for this meeting, there's still obviously some unfinished business and things that still need more discovery. And, I know that we're going to do that without a doubt. And we'll be ready as we need to kind of tackle the next hill. So thank you for good dialogue and just good governance. It's a pleasure to serve with each of you.
I'll chime in and just also express my gratitude to this body and to the faculty and staff of Winterberry for keeping the wheels on the bus and keeping our students safe and educated. It's a tall order in any time of life, but during this third year of the pandemic, I think everybody's kind of worn down, and it's it's a Herculean effort to keep the school going, and I just really appreciate the energy and the commitment that's behind it. So thank you very much.
Gratitude to the boards, the three bodies that keep our school humming along, and all of our precious students that, the people that we do all of this for.
I'm grateful to science fiction for allowing me to exit this world and enter others for short periods of the day. I love the ability to travel elsewhere for a portion of time.
I'm grateful for Nurse Katrina. She has been working pretty hard in grade 4 and elsewhere these last couple of weeks, and she always, she meets you where you need to meet her, and she's always there. So just great gratitude for her.
I have gratitude for the abundance of subs that we have, although I don't want anyone else to know that we do, but it's great. So that's nice.
I am grateful for spending a new year with all of you.
Thank you, everybody.
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn. And
I'll second.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Night. Thank you.